I grew up without a father or mother. When the widow at the village entrance lost her son, I ran to ask if she would be my mother. The rough man at the village end was strong at chopping wood, so I asked if he would be my father. That's how we came together as a family. In the whole village, the person I envied most was Lily Lou. Her mother was gentle, sitting by the door to braid her hair. Her father earned well, buying her sweet candies. Every time she went out, I'd hover near, hoping she'd play with me. If we got along, she might often bring me home, and Uncle Lou would surely invite me to stay for a meal. Then I could glimpse what parents were like. Sadly, Lily Lou didn't like me. She pointed disdainfully at my pants. Your clothes have holes even on the seat. Shame on you. I won't be friends with someone so shabby. I'm not shabby. My clothes are washed clean, but I can't help the holes. I have only a little money, and it must go to buying millet. Fabric is too expensive. I still need to save up. But even if they weren't as good as Uncle Lou and Auntie Tian, any parents would do. Just having parents would be enough. I went to find other playmates. Tiger sucked on his grimy fingers and said, "It's not that I don't want to bring you along, but my mother said if I dare bring someone home to eat, she'll dock my rice cakes. I only get to eat them 3 times a year. I can't afford to lose any more." Ella shook her head too. The food in my house all goes into my brother's mouth. I can't even eat my fill myself. All right, so the reason Lily Lou could invite people home for meals was because her father knew how to earn money. Heaven has still been quite kind to me. Lily Lou's family didn't lack for children, but Widow Yu at the village entrance did. One sweltering summer day, her son jumped into the river to cool off, and when they fished him out, he was cold for good. Widow Yu cried herself unconscious several times, her face even turning ashen from grief. Gossipy mouths whispered in private, "Ah, no wonder she's crying herself to death. Her husband passed just 2 years ago, and now her son is gone too. Without a son, she won't be able to keep the house or the land. That's why you should have more children. If she'd had 2, at least one would have remained." I understood. She needed a child, and I needed a mother. Wasn't this perfect? Covering the hole in my pants with one hand and mimicking Lily Lou's twin pigtails, I stood before Widow Yu and asked, "Auntie, you lost your son. How about I be your daughter?" The pale woman glanced up, her face full of rage. "I lost my son? Even if I did, it's not your place, a fatherless, motherless brat, to mock me. My son would have provided for me. What can a useless girl like you do?" I didn't know why she was angry, but folks in this village often curse me for having no father, no mother, no upbringing. I was used to it. Yet after scolding me, seeing me starved, they'd still feed me a bite from this house. A spoonful from that one. Widow, you had fed me before too. It was delicious. The village chief came in, took my hand, and led me out, sighing as he looked at me. "You this reckless temper and unfiltered mouth. Who on earth do you take after?" Sigh. I don't know who I take after either. Everyone in the village said an old man brought me here. He was very old, raised me till I was 3, and then he fell ill and passed away. The house I live in now was bought by him, so the village can't drive me out. Being a girl, no one wanted to adopt me. I grew up relying on the kindness of neighbors. I have a faint memory of that old man. His grave is on the back hill, and every festival, I'd steal some incense and candles to kowtow to him. If only he were still alive. At least then I'd have a grandfather. But it's all right. Now I have a chance to find myself a mother. Widow Yu said her son could support her. And so can I. I'm older now, 7 years old. And fewer villagers are willing to feed me. Sometimes when landlords from neighboring villages hire laborers, the village chief sneaks me in. This time, I went along again. After transplanting rice seedlings for 5 days, I took my 20 copper coins and went to find Widow Yu, only to discover her home had been taken over. Leo Lu came to the door chewing on a chicken leg, happily saying, "Looking for my aunt. She's been moved to a house at the end of the village. My mom says her home and fields belong to us now. Mom even stewed a chicken to celebrate. Little wanderer, are you hungry? I'll sneak a piece for you." I swallowed hard. Chicken, but I was in a hurry to see my future mother. So I shook my head and dashed toward the end of the village. I knew that house. dilapidated and tiny. It had stood empty for years. Annie Tion saw me heading there and waved me over, handing me a bamboo basket. Little wanderer, are you going to see Widow you? Be a dear. I'm busy. Could you bring her this basket of food? Ah, what a shame. She's her own brother-in-law's wife. Yet they took her fields and house, and won't even bother to send her a few meals. Amid Auntie Tion's muttering, I learned that, in the village, if a woman lost both her husband and son, whatever remained of the family property wasn't hers. It belonged to the clan, to be divided among her husband's surviving relatives. Widow Yu's husband was surnamed Liu, a major family name in the village. Like Lily, Liu's family, all her assets went to Leo Liu's family, so she had no choice but to move into that broken down house at the village's edge. From then on, Leo Liu's family only needed to give her a few dozen pounds of grain each year, just enough to keep her from starving. But Auntie Tion said Widow Yu was too grief-stricken to cook even if she had food, and would starve herself if no one brought her meals. Auntie Tion was a kind soul, though she hadn't taken so much as a thread from Widow Yu's home. She was willing to share a portion of her own family's food and deliver it to the end of the village. Carrying the basket, I stepped into the thatched hut, even shabbier than my own. Widow Yu lay on a grimy bed, not even glancing my way. I took out the soup Auntie Tion had stewed for her, bone broth with a fragrant layer of oil floating on top. Yet Widow Yu still refused to lift her eyes. She seemed to have lost her wits. She didn't respond when I called her, but after pressing the spoon to her lips a few times, she'd open her mouth and swallow. Being simple-minded was good. Simple minds were easy to fool. I leaned close to her ear and asked, Auntie Yu, will you be my mother? This time, she didn't scold me. She just stayed silent. I asked a second time, and still she said nothing. The third time, I got smarter and changed my approach. Auntie Yu, will you be my mother? If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. Hiv. She didn't say a word. I found a broken plank, laid my warm new mother on it, and mustered all my strength to drag her home, stopping to rest every stretch of the way. After 15 minutes, I finally had a mother in my house, even though this mother didn't speak and took forever to feed. Now, I had someone to think about when I went out, and someone breathing beside me when I returned, especially at night when she fell asleep. I'd secretly feel the flesh on her arm and press close against her. And she never pushed me away for those few days. Even when picking up chopsticks, I'd ask her, Mother, which pair do you like? Mother, is it the middle one? Mother, the left one? Ah, I see. You prefer the right one. I wanted to call her mother to my heart's content. Too bad, we only had 3 pairs of chopsticks. Each time I could only say it 4 times. She never responded to me, just let me bounce around cooking, washing clothes, and wiping her down with water, lying there as if she meant to stay forever. Until one day, I snagged a handful of jujubes from Village Chief's house. Jujubes are great for nourishing chi and blood. Her lips had turned pale, and I wanted to help replenish her strength. But when she saw that bowl of steamed jujubes, she spoke to me for the first time. Where did these come from? I remembered Auntie Tion telling Liu, that children shouldn't lie to their mothers. So I grinned and said, Village Chief had them drying in the yard. So I quietly grabbed a handful. With a sharp slap, she knocked the bowl from my hands. 3 months had passed, the seasons shifting from summer toward winter, and, finally, a spark of life returned to her. Not caring about the precious jujubes, I excitedly jumped to her side. Mother, you're talking to me? Not only did she talk to me, she even rose from the bed on her own, her eyes scanning the room before she picked up a bamboo pole by the door and swung it straight at my backside. Someone was hitting me, and out of habit, I darted outside toward where people gathered. By the time I realized what was happening, Mother had followed me out. Too long without sun, she squinted first before raising the bamboo pole to continue whipping my bottom. Auntie Tion lived close by. Hearing the commotion, she came out holding clothes ready to hang, saw Mother, and cried out in delight, Sister Yu, you're willing to come out. Then, seeing what Mother was doing, she quickly intervened. Sister, calm your anger. Just think of how this child has cared for you so devotedly all this time. If she said something unpleasant, don't take it to heart. Sigh. Even Annie Tion knows I'm not good with words. But how exactly does one learn to speak properly? After last time, I already knew I should mention her son's death in front of Mother. So, what did I say this time to upset her? I looked searchingly at Mother. She'd been still for too long, and those 2 strikes had left her panting for breath. I saw her stiffen slightly, but she still forced a smile and said to Annie Tion, "Sister Tion, thank you for the meals you sent before. This child is too unruly. She must be disciplined." My eyes lit up instantly. She wants to discipline me. She actually took charge of me, dragging me home by the ear, sitting down while catching her breath. She asked, "Stealing is wrong. Do you know that?" I shook my head. I truly didn't know. When I was starving, I had stolen vegetables and sweet potatoes from most households in the village. Only a few people scolded me, and I never went back to those homes. But others never yelled at me, especially the village chief. Sometimes when he saw me, he'd even put an egg in my hand. After hearing me, Mother sighed. "That's right, you stole from our home too. Who would hold a grudge against a child with no father or mother?" Her expression turned serious. "But from now on, it's different. If you want to be my daughter, you must never steal again. Do you understand?" I nodded vigorously. "I understand, Mother. From now on, I'll understand whatever you say. As long as she was willing to be my mother, I'd even agree if she said the outhouse smelled sweet." Seeing me nod, her expression softened slightly as she asked, "Where's the rice kept at home?" I pointed to the kitchen, where there was millet I'd dragged over from the broken down house. Mother went in and scooped up a full bowl of rice, then took my hand and walked out with me, saying as we went, "When we get to the village head's house, you need to apologize and give them this bowl of rice as compensation. Understand?" Her hand was so warm that even if we really passed by the outhouse, the smell would probably seem fragrant to me now. When we arrived at the village head's house, there were many people gathered there, seemingly discussing how to pass the winter. Winters here are bitterly cold, with heavy snow sealing off the village. So we must chop enough firewood and stockpile at home before winter sets in. I hate winter the most. I could only gather some twigs, pilfer a little from this household, and take a bit from that one. Then for a whole long month, only Uncle Lou would occasionally check on me, afraid I might freeze or starve to death. No one else ever came. The snow was too white, so white it made one feel truly pitiful alone. This year, I won't have to feel pitiful. But if stealing isn't allowed, what will we do for firewood? I was still pondering this when Mother nudged me and handed me the bowl. "What are you going to say to the village head?" As she had taught me at home, I bowed respectfully to the village chief. "Uncle Village Chief, I'm sorry for stealing your jujubes yesterday. This bowl of millet is my compensation to you. I swear I'll never steal again." Everyone in the yard stared at me in astonishment. What did the little beggar say? She won't steal anymore? Then how will she survive? By working, of course. A 7-year-old can work too. Honestly, if she keeps stealing, I won't stand for it. "Widow, you brought her here. Is she really planning to adopt her as a daughter?" Well, since her own son passed away, adopting one might be good. But why a girl? She'll just marry out someday anyway. Little Wanderer was the name I gave myself, though most people didn't use it. They were used to calling me Little Beggar. Mother took my hand and raised her voice above their buzzing discussions. "From now on, this child has a proper name. She'll take my surname and be called Jenny Yu. Jenny as in treasure. Thank you all for looking after her before and tolerating her bad habits. But if she ever steals again, just come tell me, and I'll break her legs." Someone in the crowd retorted, "Of course, a child with a mother who still steals lacks upbringing. We won't tolerate that anymore." Ha ha ha. Everyone burst into laughter. The village chief took my rice, went inside to pour it into his own bowl, and returned holding a red envelope. Handing it to Mother, he said, "Taking in a daughter is a big occasion. Don't think it's too little. It's just my small gesture." Mother tried to refuse, but the village chief sternly insisted. "This is just normal courtesy among folks." "What? planning to cut ties with the village from now on? We still live in this village. Of course we'll keep in touch, Mother replied. She accepted it. Back home, upon opening it, she found 10 copper coins, the same amount given for childbirth celebrations in the village. Shortly after returning, many others came by one after another, each bringing red envelopes with 10 copper coins. Haha, now, the whole village knows I have a mother. Mother's first act as my parent was mending my trousers. She took apart her old clothes to patch the hole in the seat and even made me 2 new outfits. The new clothes weren't just thin layers. They were padded with willow catkins and reed flowers for warmth. Touching those clothes, I waited until Mother fell asleep. Then I cried, not just for the clothes, but because it felt like I was truly being treated as a person. In my days, I understood. No one had ever taught me that stealing was wrong, because, in their eyes, keeping me alive was enough. They didn't care what kind of person I became or what principles I needed to learn. They were good people, but they weren't as good as Mother. How clever of me. Mother is a treasure, and I've managed to cling to one for myself. Seeing my eyes swollen like walnuts, Mother rarely smiled. Such a softa, crying over a few pieces of clothing hidden under the covers. Get up, we're going to chop wood today. My mother wasn't a delicate woman. A widow raising a child alone couldn't afford to be delicate, but she'd been bedridden too long, and chopping wood was still too exhausting for her. Within just 15 minutes, sweat beaded on her forehead. My heart ached terribly, so I snatched the axe from her, but I lacked the strength to fell the tree. Just as I was at a loss, a pair of large hands took the axe from me. With a few swift chops, they helped us cut the tree into sections and neatly tied them up with rope. He was such a tall, sturdy man, wearing only a thin layer of clothing even as winter approached. I secretly touched his hand. It wasn't cold at all, but warm as fire. Wow! Keeping him at home in winter would be like having firewood to warm the house. Mother didn't take the firewood, leaving it where it was and saying, "Thank you, young man, but you can help us once. Not every time. We'd better chop our own." After that, she picked up the axe and called me to move on to the next tree. There wasn't a soul in the village I didn't know, but that uncle was a stranger. After coming down the mountain, I immediately went to ask Lily Lou about him. Oh, right. Ever since my pants no longer had holes, Lily Lou finally agreed to play with me. She broke off a tiny piece of her most treasured candy and gave it to me, saying, "Since you have a mother now and won't try to steal mine, I'll play with you for a bit." Turns out she once eavesdropped and heard Auntie Tion and Uncle Lou discussing whether to adopt me. She cried so hard that Auntie Tion gave up the idea. That's why she disliked me. She thought I was trying to take her mother away. Lily Lou pouted and said, "I only have brothers. I'm the only girl in the family. The hair ornaments Mother makes are just for me, and the candy Father buys is always given to me first. I don't want to share with you. Is that reasonable?" I touched my new clothes and nodded. Yeah, that's reasonable. I wouldn't want to share what my mother makes with anyone else either. Candy is expensive, and she doesn't share it with other kids. Since she shared it with me, we must be best friends. After putting the firewood away at home, I ran to ask her, Lily, do you know there's someone new in the village?" The really tall and strong one. Her big eyes sparkled as she said, "Of course I know. He moved here half a month ago and lives in that old rundown house your mother used to live in. He bought it from the village, so he's one of us now. I've been busy taking care of Mother these past few months. No wonder I didn't know. He chops firewood with such strength. I want to hire him to chop wood. Mother says stealing isn't allowed, but hiring someone should be fine, right?" I ran to the old house, holding 20 copper coins, and asked him, "Uncle, with this money, can I hire you to chop firewood for my family for 5 days?" Mother gave this to me from that pile of red envelopes, saying it was for celebratory blessings. I earned 20 copper coins for 5 days of transplanting rice seedlings at Landlord Zhang's, so firewood chopping should pay about the same. I looked up at him expectantly. He held the coins with an expressionless face, nodding as he said, "All right, I'll go up the mountain tomorrow to chop some for you." To surprise Mother, I arranged with the man named Asher Liu to chop separately from us and deliver all the firewood together to our home afterward. 5 days later, there was a small pile of firewood in the yard, the result of Mother's and my chopping. Asher Liu brought loads and loads of firewood, enough to produce dozens of piles like the one in our yard, even more than what Uncle Liu and Lily Liu's brothers had gathered. Mother and I were stunned at the sight. I dashed over to Asher Liu and exclaimed happily, "This will last us all winter. Uncle, you're amazing." Mother frowned and asked me, "Did you ask him for this?" I quickly shook my head. No. I paid him 20 copper coins for 5 days of chopping. Mother breathed a sigh of relief, hurried back inside, and fetched a large sum of money, more than half from our savings box, handing it to Uncle Qingshan while saying, "I'm so sorry. My child is still young and doesn't understand things yet. Even if sold in town, this firewood could fetch several hundred copper coins. I'm giving you this much for now, and I'll definitely repay the rest come spring." Uncle Qingshan took out the 20 copper coins I'd given him and said gruffly, "We agreed on 20 coins, so 20 coins it is." Then he set down the last pile of firewood and walked away without looking back. Mother chased after him all the way to his rundown house. But no matter what, Uncle wouldn't open the door. She came home, pointed at me, and said, "You, sit down. Mother will teach you how wages are really calculated." Mother counted on her fingers and explained that landlord Zheng only gave me 5 days' meals and 20 copper coins out of pity. Proper rice transplanting work would never hire a child just a few years old. Someone as strong as Uncle Qingshan would earn at least 200 to 300 copper coins for 5 days' labor. Not to mention that pile of firewood he chopped could sell for 500 or 600 copper coins in winter. Mother sighed. "Now, we owe a huge favor. You little rascal, since you caused this, bring rags and a broom tomorrow and come with me." Mother took me out early in the morning, so early that Uncle Qingshan hadn't even left home yet. Then his door couldn't be closed. Mother stood me on the threshold, blocking him from shutting the door, and said, "Either you let us help clean your house, or you drag that pile of firewood away. Your choice." Uncle Qingshan seemed startled by Mother, scratched his head, said nothing, and left the door open as he walked away. The rundown house was still as shabby as ever, just a bit cleaner than when Mother was last here. Mother and I worked until our backs were sore before we finally made the place look fit for human habitation. When we cleaned the kitchen, we found a little congee left in the pot. I picked it up, sniffed, and wrinkled my nose in disgust. Even congee can get burnt? Uncle really eats poorly. Mother poured the leftover congee into a bowl, and while washing the pot, she said, "Still, we can't waste food. Let's save it for him. But tomorrow we'll come again and bring him some breakfast." Uncle Qingshan didn't return until evening, dragging another pile of firewood behind him. It seems he makes a living selling firewood. Seeing the brand, "New Home," his eyes widened slightly, and he blushed as he spoke. I'll give you a few more bundles of firewood." Mother shook her head. "Brother Qingshan, we don't work for free. Cleaning the house once counts as 10 copper coins. Today was especially tiring, so it should be 20. From now on, we'll come regularly to clean for you, to pay off that pile of firewood until it's settled. Is that all right?" Uncle Qingshan nodded sincerely. Mother continued, "I see your cooking skills are just average. How about I cook both meals for you too? But you'll have to provide the millet and vegetables. Once it's ready, I'll have Jinner bring it over. That'll be 10 copper coins a day as well. What do you think?" Uncle Qingshan just kept nodding. He didn't seem to like talking much. Back home, Mother dipped a twig in the soot from the stove and drew 2 long lines on the pillar, telling me, "Pay attention. Each line represents 10 copper coins. When we fill 45 lines, our debt will be cleared. We clean for Uncle every 5 days, plus cooking. In just over a month, we'll earn a whole yard's worth of firewood." My mother is really skilled at making money. Uncle Qingshan is also amazing. Even in winter when he goes to cut firewood in the mountains, he manages to catch wild rabbits and pheasants, delivering one every couple of days for Mother to cook. Meat. Usually villagers would sell it for money if they caught any, but he's willing to eat it himself. No wonder he's so strong, even boiled plain in water. The meat smells incredible, and Mother's cooking skills are superb. She fries at first to render the fat, then adds homemade bean paste to stir. Fry. Once the water simmers the meat tender, I hover around the pot like a puppy, sniffing nonstop. Just smelling the aroma feels like a treat in itself. Mother would never take even a single piece of someone else's meat. Seeing how desperately I craved it, she'd add our own radishes and cabbage to the pot, letting us savor a hint of the meat's flavor and satisfy our cravings. But within a couple of days, Uncle Qingshan showed up at our house again. It was around dinner time. I had just delivered that day's meat to him, and he came carrying a bowl with a drumstick, a wing, and several pieces of meat inside. When it arrived, she'd pour into our cabbage and radish stew, pointing at me and saying, "I can't finish this, but a growing child needs meat." Mother immediately tried to pick the meat out with her chopsticks. In times like these, no one turns down extra meat. Brother Qingshan, if you keep this up, I won't dare cook for you anymore. Uncle Qingshan pressed down on the bowl, not letting Mother return the meat, stubbornly insisting, "If you won't cook, I'll eat it burnt. Even if it's charred, I'll still bring it over." The child must have meat. Mother refused to believe him and stopped cooking for him, but true to his word, he delivered a portion of scorched meat every 2 days. It was terribly unappetizing, yet he wouldn't take it back. So we had to hold our noses and eat it. Faced with such a stubborn man, Mother reluctantly resumed cooking for him, but she shortened the daily tally line, only 10 copper coins marked over 3 days. And so the deliveries continued until the heavy snow began to fall. On the day the snow reached our calves, I delivered the last meal of the year. The rest would have to wait until spring to settle accounts. But the very next day, someone knocked loudly at the door. Uncle Qingshan stood there holding a piece of cured meat, looking sheepishly at Mother. "If I don't let Xiaojin bring meals over, would it be all right if I came to eat here myself?" Outside on the pure white snow lay a trail of deep footprints. The snow that could easily trip me up seemed utterly obedient under his feet, giving off a reassuring feeling. I tugged at Mother's hand, whining, "Mother, let Uncle come. If he cooks it himself, he'll just ruin the meat." Mother looked at the two of us, silly as we were, and sighed helplessly. All right. I know growing children need meat. I'll cook for you." And so it began. Uncle Qingshan spent more and more time at our house. Sometimes a chair inside would break, and he'd help hammer it back together. Other times the snow on the roof grew too heavy, and he'd climb up to clear it away. Before long, Mother felt too awkward to let him spend New Year's Eve alone. The three of us gathered together and celebrated a proper, lively New Year. Annie Tian also brought some wine that Uncle Lou had bought. Mother, grateful to Uncle Asher, poured him 2 cups, but his tolerance was poor. His face flushed crimson as he leaned against the corridor pillar, listening to the firecrackers outside with a foolish grin. I'd seen Uncle Lou drunk before. People talk more when intoxicated. Seizing the chance, I asked him, "Uncle Asher, why are you so insistent on giving me meat? Is it because I'm adorable?" He ruffled my hair and smiled gently. "Seeing you, Uncle feels like he's seeing his younger self. Uncle wants to give that boy meat to eat." So it's true. Drunken folks really do ramble. Leaning there, he chattered on and on, recounting nearly half his life story. He said he wasn't originally called Asher Lou. His name was Unwanted. Unwanted, like Little Wanderer, lost his home at age 3. But Unwanted had it worse. While no one adopted Little Wanderer, no one bullied him either. But Unwanted was a boy. He was sold to a childless family. He might have had a couple of good days, but he doesn't remember. After all, the very next year, that family had a son of their own. The fortune teller said he brought it upon himself. He had to be raised so the biological child could thrive. The fortune teller might have meant well, but his adoptive parents had no heart, feeding him the worst and least food, making him do the hardest and most exhausting work. He often starved so badly, he felt like hands were reaching out from his throat to grab something to eat, especially during the new year, when every household wafted with the aroma of meat. He couldn't even get a single piece. He was so desperately craving that even in his dreams, he begged the Bodhisattva to grant him a piece of meat. Perhaps the Bodhisattva heard him, for that year when he was driven into the mountains to gather firewood, a rabbit ran past him. He chased and chased but couldn't catch up. In his desperation, he threw a stick at it, and the rabbit fell. He didn't have much time to linger outside, so he skewered the rabbit over a fire, stuffing it into his belly half raw. Thanks to these wild rabbits and pheasants, he grew up tall and strong, but half cooked meat could also be deadly. Once he vomited so violently, he nearly died. His adoptive parents just left him in the room, and he endured alone for 3 days before finally opening his eyes again. From then on, he only dared to eat mushy foods. Unless he smelled that unmistakable scent of something fully cooked, he wouldn't touch it. Before heading to bed, he ruffled my hair again. I heard there was a wild child in Peach Blossom Village, so I came, originally intending to raise you. But you're luckier than me. Your mother gave you a name and called you her treasure. And to you, she's truly a good person. I don't know if mother cried, but I did. Suddenly, I wished this uncle could eat food that was neither raw nor burnt for the rest of his life, even if he never chopped firewood for us again. After that day, mother didn't even draw those 10 copper coins for 3 days anymore, since Uncle Chingshan provided rice, meat, and vegetables. She simply cooked them. He gradually became less wooden, smiling when it was time to smile, blushing and calling out, "Andy, you," when he needed my mother's help. After another year passed, a family in the village had a spendthrift son selling land, and he bought 2 acres of it. 2 acres cost 10 silver taels. He trained as a carpenter and could earn even more than Lily Lou's father. Men who can earn money are always popular. One day, mother was washing clothes when an Annie from the village came in. She smiled and said to mother, "Sister Yu, I've got a great opportunity here and would like to ask for your help." Mother shooed me away to play with Little Flower. I pretended to leave, but immediately turned back to eavesdrop on their conversation. That auntie grinned widely and said, "Oh my, you have no idea how pretty my younger sister is. She's also excellent at washing and cooking. Brother Chingshan is already 23. If he doesn't find a wife soon, it'll be too late. Always eating at your place. Those who know say you're kind-hearted, but those who don't might spout all sorts of nonsense. Please help me talk to him about it. If it works out, I'll give you a big red envelope." Mother just sat there listening quietly, not even asking what that nonsense was. She wasn't angry, but I was furious. I wanted to know just how awful those words were, seeing how upset I was. Little Flower plucked at the grass and said, "You don't know, but I do. When those aunties were bad-mouthing your mother, my mom overheard them and told them to watch their tongues. I remember an auntie saying Uncle Asher was just taking advantage of your mother. He's no fool. She's already had a child. How could she compare to a shy young bride? My mother had a child too, but I think she's very beautiful, prettier than Big Ox's family's young bride. So what they said is completely wrong, not worth getting angry over." I silently pictured that young bride in my mind and fiercely agreed with her. Our mother is absolutely beautiful. With my anger settled, I dashed home. We were having rabbit meat for dinner, but the door was closed. I crept closer, opened the window, and saw Mother and Uncle Asher sitting face to face. Mother took a sip of water and said calmly, "Asher Lou, someone came to propose a match for you. A fresh, face 17-year-old girl. Will you marry her?" Uncle Asher's face flushed bright red instantly, his eyes wide like the village chief's ox, and he stammered, "No, won't marry. I mean, marry, but not her. Marry." He stammered for ages without saying what he wanted to say. Mother just calmly glanced at him, stood up, planted a firm kiss on his lips, then sat back down and asked, "What about me? Will you marry me too?" Mother must know magic. After she asked, Uncle Chingshan forgot how to walk. He stood up dazedly, muttering, "Wait for me," while bumping straight into the door. When he finally pushed the door open and saw me, he kept his eyes downcast with a flushed face, as if too embarrassed to look at me. I instinctively thought, "Oh, So, this is what a bashful bride looks like. Noticing me, mother told him to come back tomorrow. That evening, after we feasted on rabbit and I was tucked in bed, she patted me and asked, "Would Jenner be okay sleeping alone from now on?" Lou sleeps alone too. She says all kids with fathers sleep by themselves after turning 7. I'm 8, so it couldn't be about age. But it felt too much like a dream. So I asked uncertainly, "Mother, am I going to have a father?" Having mother is already wonderful. If I also get a father to buy me sweets, what heavenly days those would be. Mother nodded and told me that I had truly achieved this world's greatest dream. As for who my father was, she didn't need to say. I was a big kid now, and I could see it clearly. Uncle Ching Shan often stared at mother so intently he'd even forget to eat his meat. He liked her more than he liked meat. Uncle Ching Shan brought over a money pouch, old and worn, but when he poured it out, several silver pieces and many copper coins tumbled forth. He pushed it toward mother and said, "Betrothal gifts. If it's not enough, I'll go earn more." Mother counted it and accepted it without the slightest hesitation. We provided a dowry too. His house was still thatched, while ours was at least made of packed earth. So he would move into our home from then on. On the wedding day, Annie Tian and her helpers draped the whole house in red. Lou and I helped out while sneakily peeling candies into our mouths. Annie Tian said those candies were for me to change how I addressed him. Once I ate them, I had to call Uncle Chingshan father. I ate so many that when they bowed during the ceremony, my cry of father rang out especially loud. The wedding feast was delicious too. 8 meat dishes and 8 vegetable dishes. The best meal I'd ever had in my life. Those aunties kept stuffing food into their mouths while still managing to talk. The auntie, who'd once come to propose a match for me, wore the ugliest expression, muttering under her breath with a stern face. Marrying a plain Jane, this Asher Lou must be out of his mind. The village chief's wife glared at her. "It's their happy day. If you won't eat, just go home." Another Annie chimed in. "What's wrong with a plain Jane? She's experienced. Sister Yu is so lucky. 26 and still gets to enjoy a strapping young man. Just look at Brother Asher's muscles. I'm afraid their bed might collapse tonight." As soon as she spoke, Auntie Tian covered my ears. I wanted to tell her not to. I could hear everything. Besides, the bed in father and mother's room was newly made by father. It wouldn't collapse. Father and mother already have a child. We're a complete family. The only thing a complete family wants to strive for is making money. Money, and more money. Once we earn money, we can build a house with bricks, eat more meat, and stuff our clothes with cotton. I'm just a child. It's my parents who earn all the household money. Mother mainly earns by making and selling clothes and shoes. Father is more skilled. He crafts furniture. Father said that by age 14, he was already big and strong. His foster parents, seeing he could overpower the whole family, grew afraid and sent him away. He found a carpenter to learn the trade, enduring beatings and scoldings as an unpaid apprentice for 8 years. The year he mastered his craft, he heard there was a wild child like me in our village. He changed his surname to Liu, our village's common name, planning to settle down and raise me. Perhaps heaven knew he had a good heart, which is why he met mother and finally got to experience what having a real family feels like. Father sets up his furniture stall in town, and mother used to have him sell her clothes and shoes there too. But we never visited the exact spot. Back then, without proper status, it wasn't convenient. Now that we have that status, mother is taking me along to see it. Father's furniture was just like him, sturdy and plain. Many folks nearby recognized his work, coming to buy tables and stools when they needed them. But these pieces were so durable that ordinary households might not need a new one for years. Last year, mother suggested father haul his stools to wealthier nearby villages, which earned them over a dozen silver taels. This year, with no villages left to visit, mother began scheming again. To marry her, father had crafted a full set of furniture carved with flowers, birds, pomegranates, and chubby babies. Mother said she'd never seen such impressive betrothal gifts in any village wedding in all her life. She asked father, why not make furniture like this specifically for weddings? With your skill, no one in town can match you. Father scratched his head. But no one in town buys it. My master tried as soon as he returned, displayed the pieces, and not even a single person asked the price. Folks still prefer plain furniture with a double happiness character pasted on for weddings. Father's master had returned to town to care for his elderly parents, bringing that craftsmanship with him. After they passed last year, he went back to the city to work as a master artisan in a large shop. Mother asked again, "How did your master display them?" "The full set." Father nodded. "Yes, just like the set I made for you. It cost my master so much effort. He'd hoped for a great start, but not even a single person asked about the price. He was so angry he never made anything with intricate patterns in town again. I learned from his lesson and didn't make any either." After asking, Mother spent another day squatting by the stall, lost in thought, before heading home. The next day, she took me around the village to every household with children about to marry, subtly showing off that set of furniture in her conversations. Auntie Tian was the first to respond, envious, yet a bit regretful. "That set is truly wonderful. My eldest is almost engaged too. Having such a set in the new house would really be something to boast about, but it's just too expensive, probably over 10 silver taels. We could afford it, but it's not worth it. Better to let the young couple use the money for daily life." Mother probed, "What if you don't buy the full set, but just a pair of pomegranate pattern chests for 1.5 silver taels?" Auntie Tian's eyes lit up. "That would work. We were going to buy them chests anyway. Plain ones cost several hundred copper coins too. Pomegranates mean many children. I'd gladly pay a bit extra for such an auspicious sign." I have no idea how Mother's mind works, but she pondered and told Father that his master had made one mistake back then, displaying a full set of carved pieces, and carving them too exquisitely. There were hardly any rural carpenters who could do carvings. Everyone prioritized affordability and practicality. Suddenly seeing his master's grand collection, they didn't dare approach, let alone ask the price, afraid it might shock them to death. But if we just made 1 or 2 carved items like chests or heirs buckets to display, wealthier villagers like Auntie Tian's family would actually feel bold enough to come take a look. Father listened, half convinced yet doubtful, but since Mother insisted, he went ahead and made them. Mother didn't want him to sell them either. She took me and stationed us at the stall, personally scouting for potential customers. One day, a well-groomed aunt with shiny hair and crisp, clean clothes passed by our stall. She announced loudly to another aunt beside her, "My daughter's getting married. Of course, I must come to town to buy some fine items for her dowry chest. After all, my son-in-law is an only child with plenty of farmland. We can't let the in-laws look down on us." She raised her hand high, pointing to her head. "See this? Even before the wedding, he gave me his future mother-in-law this bronze hairpin. Country folk usually wear wooden hairpins. Having a bronze one with carvings means you're quite well off." Mother fixed her gaze on her and suddenly called out loudly, "Pomegranate blossom chest, Mandarin duck heirs bucket, auspicious meanings, beautiful items. Any family marrying off a daughter with these two will surely gain face across 10 villages." The auntie was indeed drawn by Mother's voice. She first glanced at other items on the stall, noting most looked inexpensive, then approached to examine what was near Mother. One look, and her eyes lit up. For these pieces, Father specially chose a tree from the back hill with a faint reddish tint. "Just a hint," Father said, "the deeply red wood, even a small piece, costs more than our family's yearly grain, and it doesn't grow in our village. But even this slight redness looks more festive than other woods, especially paired with the exquisite flowers and birds Father carved." The auntie crouched before that chest, stroking it over and over, her eyes utterly captivated. She tentatively asked, "Well, it looks decent enough, but these pomegranate carvings are quite nice. Tell me, how much for the pair?" Mother held up 2 fingers, 2 silver taels. The woman's eyes widened. "You're robbing me. Others sell a pair of chests for 800 copper coins, and you charge this much just for some carvings." I was startled, but Mother chuckled and said, "Ma'am, My husband learned his craft in the city. Look at these pomegranates, carved just like they grew on the tree. Anyone can see you dote on your daughter. Display these chests at the front during her wedding procession, and everyone will say her family supports her well. Her in-laws won't dare mistreat her in the future. Hearing Mother's last words, the woman's eyes flickered, and her expression softened. If I spend a fortune, it's only so she'll have a good life ahead. But this is too expensive. I'm serious about buying. Give me a better price. Mother pretended to hesitate, walked over to Father to whisper a few words, then returned and said, "Well, since I like you, how about 1,300 copper coins? That's the lowest I can go. But remember, this price is just for you. If you refer friends or family later, they won't get this deal." We had set the price at 1,500 copper coins at home, so this was a real discount. Hearing the price, the auntie also breathed a sigh of relief, paid happily, and left. I asked Mother in confusion, "Are we planning to lower the price?" Mother shook her head, pulled me to sit on the bench, and explained carefully, "Does that auntie remind you of the village chief's wife? She has some money, cares about face, but has a warm heart too. If she calls out in our village, even the next village responds. Carved items are expensive, and not many people buy them from the stall. But if this Annie helps us promote them at her daughter's wedding, surely some who trust her or don't want to lose face to her will come to buy." Mother was absolutely right. The first month was quiet, but in the second month, two people really came to the stall. One was the auntie's relative, the other her rival. The relative bought the same box as the Annie, and the rival even bought an extra pair of Ayers buckets. But this time, Mother didn't offer a discount. She held firm at 1,500 copper coins and wouldn't lower it a single coin. She taught me, Auntie will definitely ask how much the relatives paid. Once she knows we really gave her a discount of 200 copper coins, she'll always remember this favor and help introduce more customers to us. The connections between people are truly wondrous. Selling something good to one person is like tossing a stone into a river. It sends ripples far and wide. Her aunts and cousins will hear about it. Her neighbors will hear about it. And sometimes even passers-by on the road while carrying the chest home will learn of it. Father's wedding furniture stall officially opened for business. Every month, unexpected customers came to order chests and buckets from him, and the wealthier ones even commissioned cabinets and beds. It wasn't exactly a gold mine. Not many in the countryside were willing to spend so much on weddings, but precisely because people were cautious, many traveled long distances to place orders in town. Father's reputation spread. Some carpenters tried to imitate him, but without his level of skill, they didn't steal much business. Carving patterns is very time-consuming. Gradually, during auspicious months, orders for Father's work had to be queued, and some even had to be placed well in advance to secure a piece. The first year, Father and Mother bought 5 more acres of land. The second year, Mother felt it was time to start keeping accounts. She no longer let me squat by the stall, instead tying my hair into a bun and sending me to the village school. In the private schools of my rural upbringing, there wasn't much separation between boys and girls. After all, I wasn't aiming to become a scholar. Learning to read and write and knowing how to keep accounts was all I needed. By the 4th year, our family had quietly grown wealthier than even the village chief and Uncle Lou's household. We began building the village's first large, sturdy brick and tall house, one that wouldn't fear the rain. Some villagers watched with envy, others with jealousy. A few even dared to ask Mother right in front of me, "Sister, you, Brother Chingshan earns so much, and you've been married for years now. Why haven't you had a child of your own?" My hands clenched tightly, but I dare not show any reaction. Mother didn't even glance my way and replied in an utterly calm tone, "Giving birth to my eldest damaged my health. Jenner will be my only child in this lifetime. The real priority is earning more for her dowry." The eldest she referred to was that brother named Lu Sheng. The villagers first looked at Father with pity, but when they saw him cheerful and utterly unbothered, some openly or subtly suggested he find another wife. In response, He'd raise his axe and chase them down. After that, their gazes toward me were filled with envy, and the gossipy aunties couldn't help sighing to me, "Little Jeanne, you're truly blessed." They weren't wrong. I really was blessed, though I'd actually overheard all those private discussions between mother and father. The whispers had circulated long before they asked mother directly. I had Lily Lou, so I knew everything, but I didn't dare ask, afraid they'd immediately smile and tell me I was going to have a little brother or sister. I'm a petty person. I remember every little thing about mother and father. Mother thought I didn't notice, but she always sent me away when she went to pay respects to brother Lu Sheng, never letting me accompany her. I knew she didn't want to tell brother Lu Sheng she was having another child. She was afraid he'd be angry with her. I suppose everyone loves their own biological children more. If they had their own child, they'd surely be more lovable than me. I didn't dare ask. I only dared to observe secretly. If one day mother became pregnant, I would try my best to bless her, and also try my best to build a box for my heart, to put it inside and not let anyone hurt it. But just as I was anxiously guessing like a mouse, I heard mother tell father that she didn't want to have any more children. She leaned on father's shoulder and apologized to him, saying, "Even today, Shinger remains more important to me than Jinner. Qingshan, I don't dare have another child. I'm afraid I would treat Jinner differently. But back then, without Jinner, I think I would have died. I don't want to break her heart. If you're unwilling, we can separate." Father glared at her angrily. How can you mention separation so casually? Seeing mother's eyes redden, he softened his voice to comfort her. All right, no more children then. My dear, truthfully, even before coming to this village, I never planned to have any. Back then, I didn't even want to marry, just wanted to raise a wild child. I'm someone who never knew my parents, with no roots to pass down. Having our little Jeanne is more than enough. Having our little Jeanne is more than enough. I stood outside the door, swearing to the moon that I would remember these words for a lifetime, no matter for whom. I would never leave their side. I grew up safely in the village because there were no truly wicked people here. Even the parents of the worst troublemaker, Liu Lu, gave mother every grain of food they owed back then. It wasn't until she married father and was no longer considered part of the Lu family that they stopped. Though villagers whispered about mother's lie in private, they all comforted her to her face, saying it was blessing enough to have me. But mother said if we wanted to continue living in the village, we had to contribute something for the common good, so others wouldn't grow too envious. I didn't want to leave the village, and neither did father and mother. After discussing it, we decided father would take on a few apprentices. Just as mother and I were ranking the village households by character, a horse-drawn carriage entered the village. It was a carriage that looked exceedingly expensive. The young lady who stepped down had a fairness of skin we country girls could never dream of, and even the clothes she wore were made of fabrics we'd never seen before. She looked at me, as if sizing me up or passing judgment, then spoke softly. "Are you Miss Yu? My mother wishes to see you. Please come with me." She emphasized my mother with particular weight. Not exactly friendly. Mother shielded me behind her, frowning as she said, "My child is still young. Whatever matters you have, discuss them with us adults. Why seek out my daughter?" She didn't seem to like me, yet her gaze held admiration when she looked at mother. She bowed slightly and said, "Then please, both esteemed parents, come with me in the carriage. It concerns Miss Yu's origins. We'll speak on the way." With father's imposing presence, we feared nothing wherever we went. But once in the carriage, the words that came from the sister named Zara Zhao still stunned me. She said my mother had sent her, not the mother sitting beside me, but the one who gave birth to me. Before turning 7, I often wondered about my birth parents, but after 7, having a mother I could hug while sleeping, I stopped dwelling on it, listening to their story. It felt connected to me, yet not entirely so. It wasn't a pleasant story, far removed from our daily struggle to earn our next meal the moment we open our eyes. Sister Zhao said my father had power and influence but no conscience. He took a liking to my mother and forced her into marriage, regardless of her wishes. But my mother was a woman who refused to bow her head. When she couldn't fight back, she endured silently, waiting for the right moment to join forces with others and crush my father completely. I was 7 months in her womb at the time. Everyone thought she would yield for my sake, but she had only agreed to become pregnant to gain trust and escape that devil forever. If I had been younger, she might have ended the pregnancy, but even if she couldn't, she didn't want me. She left me with one of my father's old servants, the old man buried in the back mountain. She was already quite old when she carried me, and the mental strain during pregnancy left her with chronic health issues. Now, nearing her end, she looked back on her life and suddenly wanted to see me. Sister Zhao was the daughter my mother chose to adopt. She was also 7 when she was taken in. Mother named her Unbound, a testament to what a freedom, loving woman she was. My heart ached for such a woman. Mother held my hand, gently pulled me into her embrace, and patted my back, saying, "Arjiner shouldn't feel sad. This isn't Arjiner's fault. It's not my fault, nor is it hers. The one most at fault. I don't even need to know their name. That person had an air of grace. Even lying on a sickbed, her elegance couldn't be concealed. She wasn't too emotional when she saw me, just gave me a faint glance and said softly, 'Back then, I brought you into this world to free myself, but I never raised you all these years. I'm about to leave, and thought that if you're to hate or resent someone, you should at least have a face to attach it to. Now that we've met, let's consider this karmic bond between us settled. You have good parents. Live the second half of your life well.' Sister Zhao watched me nervously, afraid I might say something harsh. I didn't. I just stood by that person's bedside, treating her like an elder, and said gently, 'Auntie, I don't hold any grudges. I have meat and vegetables with every meal, a clean, spacious home, and I'm living well. You must keep fighting. If you're gone, Sister Zhao won't have a mother anymore.' That day, she still cried. Not for me, but for her daughter Zara Zhao. I didn't leave. Sister Zhao asked me to stay to see her one last time. We both wished that moment would come as late as possible, but half a month later, white funeral banners were hung in the mansion. Sister Zhao kept vigil in the morning hall, while Mother and I just helped her with some miscellaneous tasks. Before heading home, Sister Zhao came to see me. Her soul seemed drained, and she said emptily, 'I disliked you, and I was afraid of you. I feared that after accompanying Mother for over a decade, in the end, the daughter in her heart would be you. Jenny, I used to envy you. You carry Mother's bloodline, but now I don't envy you anymore. I am her daughter.' Mother said you can take one thing from her property as a compensation from her. Choose one, then leave. After this, you and she have no connection. She spread many things before me. I can read, and I knew they were various property deeds and land titles. Any one of them could let me live comfortably for a lifetime without lifting a finger. But after looking around, I still turned to her and said, 'Then I choose you. I want a sister, and since you're so rich, you'll have to buy me candy during the holidays. We orphans understand best. What we fear most in this world isn't poverty, but an empty home with no one in it. Until she's ready to start a family, I'll reluctantly be her family first.' Zara Zhao was very busy, and Zara Zhao was also very fierce. She had many things to do and a large trading company to manage, but she thought I was idle and unskilled. So she still came to the village from time to time to teach me various skills. Everyone in our village liked her because, thanks to her fleet, every household now had apprentices trained by my father. She helped Father and Mother draft a contract. Father would teach apprentices without requiring 8 years of unpaid labor. They only needed to give him 10% of their earnings for the first 5 years after completing their training. Now Father doesn't even need to set up a stall. He makes plenty of money just by teaching apprentices at home. People in our village no longer rush to the city. Instead, we follow those ships to small towns and rural areas far and wide, doing the kind of small business that big city shops overlook. Now, every household is eagerly saving up to build big houses. So of course they adore her. With money, even the winter snow loses its terror. Everyone grabs shovels and clears the roads spotlessly. For family members toiling afar all year, They must have an unobstructed path home. Unlike father and mother, we don't wait for others. We hitch the carriage and go. Zhao Manor is too vast. Zara, Zhao, alone can't hang all the lanterns, so we must go help her. The year I turned 15, another willing helper came to hang lanterns for Zara Zhao. Tall and slender, with the looks of a pretty boy, mother nudged me excitedly. Hey, look how well your sister picked her man. Fair, skinned, delicate, and quite handsome. Father, who's neither fair nor delicate, stood by grumbling, and I joined in. Humph, him? He's only fit to hang lanterns. But Zara Zhao smiles when she sees him, so I'll grudgingly call him brother. In law, I know, she's about to have a family now, and my journey accompanying her has come to an end. But it's all right. I have the most wonderful parents in the world. I'll find someone, have a whole brood of children, and stay with them until the very end.